life of a spy isn't as glamorous as I thought. But it isn't dull.
Well, hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Daniel and DarthBobCat. I'm, of course, Daniel Parker, and joining me is, as always, is DarthBobCat. Hello, DarthBobCat.
Hello, hello. I love that trailer and just the colors in that scene with the gunfire and the motorcycle chase. That's just great.
Yeah, it is. Bogdan did an amazing job with that. He had a ball drawing that whole chase sequence. Once you get that the book in your hands and you're reading that, you're gonna be like, whoa.
Oh, I know. I'm looking forward to mine.
Oh yeah. So as Bobcat just stated, of course, I have my own comic book, which is called Angel's Awakening, and DarthBobCat has his own series called Confessions of the Magpie Wizard.
Good. It's funny. Some people always want to call it Confessions of a Magpie Wizard, as though there were other magpie wizards who, like Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen or something like that.
Yeah. Yes, it's always good to get the title right. Yeah. So as we start to segue into that, I have a new name for this little segment.
Buy my book. Buy my book. Buy my book.
Buy my book. All right. So let me see here. Go ahead and see if I can add that, or yes, add to stream. All right. So Angel's Awakening, we're sitting at 1740 in funding, 49 backers. Still got 20 days left on the campaign. So if you haven't backed it yet, you've still got some time. Got some really sweet tiers to look over. You can just get one copy of the book. You can also get a digital copy, but we've got 3 different forms of the physical version. You can get the main cover, the Virgin cover, or you can
which is the cover without alcohol.
Yes, exactly. Although if you prefer, of course, there's the cover with experience and then the cover with no experience. And also there's the variant cover with Carla Tornelli, done by Carla Tornelli, which is in manga style. If you want to see what that looks like, it is right here.
Good old manga mama.
Yes, good old manga mama. And we've also got this tier down here, which I love, is the pinup poster. You can get an 11 by 17 of Jessica, and as well as a copy of the main cover, or you can get all 3 covers and the pinup poster. And for those of you, if you've got some extra spending money out there, you can always get this original drawn-in tier here.
Yep, and getting the combo cover or the combo pack is basically like getting one of the comics free.
Exactly. Yeah, so that is Angel's Awakening here. Now let's move on to Magpie Wizard, or Confessions of the Magpie Wizard. So let's bring that up here for you.
Which we can call it Magpie Wizard for short.
Magpie. All right. And there it is, right here.
Yep, there we are, sitting on Amazon for a paltry $2.99 if you just want the Kindle edition. Also available on Kindle Unlimited.
Yes, and if you like magical high schools and you like, let's see,
It's like the unholy love child of the Asterisk War, Harry Potter, and the Screwtape Letters.
Yes, that's what I was trying to remember, the screw tape letters. Okay, yes, and great, cool little story here with a very not so heroic hero, I guess.
That is an entirely fair way to put it.
Yeah. So it's set in a post-apocalyptic future. Demons and magic, all that good stuff.
Yep, a fantasy realm has invaded. So it's almost, if you ever saw that anime Gate, it's almost like the opposite version of that.
Yes, and instead of the modern world invading the fantasy world has invaded the modern world.
Yep.
And of course, we've got book 1, and there's also book 2,
which is currently on the tail end of a week-long sale for 99 cents if you want to pick that up.
Yeah, I would definitely get on that if you haven't gotten this already. That's a hell of a deal.
By Grabthar's Hammer, what a bargain.
Yes. Oh, I love that movie. All right, well, I guess that's enough shilling.
So want me to make you sad?
I guess.
They were in development talks for a sequel when the actor who played Dumbledore and the one character died.
Oh, you mean Alan Rickman?
Yeah, when Alan Rickman died, they were in talks to make a sequel to Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah.
So now that I've brought the mood down, we can bring it back up again with our discussion topics for the day.
Yes. So for those of you who caught us last time, near the end of the stream, Bobcat and I were talking about shipping, and one of the things for those of you who don't know what shipping is, it's basically you taking two fictional characters and putting them in a romantic relationship that may or may not be canonical. Usually not canonical, and it's more or less based on just like personal preferences of which characters you like and which ones you don't, and that sort of thing.
Yep. And what's interesting about shipping is that how to put it nicely, I know a fair number of shippers, and it's like consuming a cigarette backwards. It's like you have this media and you're kind of absorbing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say the wrong way. A way that was not intended.
Yeah, and harmful too. That would hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even stand a regular cigarette, so I can't even imagine going filter first.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so and to be fair, I mean, shipping can be innocent. I mean, it can be just kind of a fun thing to do. Where it gets weird is when it starts, treading into really obsessive territory.
My personal favorite are the Raylos. And by favorite, I mean the best anti-example.
Yeah.
So for those who have purged the Disney Star Wars movies from your short-term memory in preparation of possible good Star Wars coming up, so Kylo Ren, evil son of Han Solo and Leia, Rey Palpatine, aka Rey Skywalker, aka Rey from Nowhere, aka Kathleen Kennedy's Mary Sue original character Do Not Steal. There are people who are so here's the thing. There's levels of shipping, right? I think we all watch when we're watching movies. If there's even like hints of a romantic relationship, we can kind of go, "Oh, those two would be cute together."
Mm-hmm.
You can also, I think where shipping goes in is they just get way too fixated on the idea and let it go to crazy places. It's like the Raylos. There are actually people on Twitter and Tumblr who pretty much stalk Adam Driver. They are trying to convince him to divorce his wife, who he has had a child with, to get with Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, and they were stalking Daisy Ridley too. Yeah,
Oh,
they were
God.
trying to break up her marriage. Yes, just
I didn't realize she was married.
I think she just got married.
Okay.
Yeah, very recently. But yeah, it's it's just so yeah, like bizarre to me. Like you're obsessing that much over fictional characters that are not going to. It's not going to impact your life one way or the other.
Nope. I think I almost say that shipping is almost like a step removed from becoming a creator of your own. You're just kind of stuck. You're just kind of still playing in the shallows a little bit.
Hmm.
Like, there's some people who just don't really have a creative bone in their body. They just watch fiction. And it's like, well, that was neat. And they move on with their lives.
Yeah.
Then you kind of have, I going to get some action figures and I'm going to reenact scenes from Star Wars. I'm going to make up my own Star Wars story. And it's almost like the shippers want to treat the real life actors like the action figures at that level.
Yeah. Yeah. And they, it's one thing, like, I mean, if there's a relationship in a work of fiction that you wanted to happen but didn't happen, you can always make your own kind of similar universe or create your own work of fiction with similar characters and then have them get together. It's not that it's nothing wrong with that.
So someone actually did that. They basically made so you know how 50 Shades of Grey was originally a Twilight fan fiction?
Yeah,
Someone practically must have taken some weird Raylo fan fiction they made and turned it into a trilogy and just like swapped out the names and the Force for magic or whatever it was.
Huh. That's interesting.
Which they've sold enough that some YouTuber I was watching went through and reviewed them. So I mean, they got on someone's radar. So good on them. Good hustle.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. If you want to, gotta make your money, do what you want. As long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yep. Which incidentally, the thought occurred to me earlier. Is there any circumstance where it would be okay to threaten an actor with death? And the only time I realized that they would have to threaten you with death first. And even that would be kind of a dick move.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. It's it's same with like a professional athlete. If they blow a game or they miss a pass or do something wrong, and then all of a sudden they're getting death threats from fans. Like, yeah, it's not going to make him play better.
No. If anything, he might. If anything, you're getting in his head and interfering with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's a it's a strange time we live in where we seem to give people who we would kind of like leave on the periphery of society into society, and it's kind of messing everything up for everybody.
What's especially weird, like the thing with that, like say Twitter, everybody's on roughly the same playing field on Twitter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you do, so how to put this? I could message Mark Hamill and tell him that he was a horrible communist for refusing to say no to being in those last two Star Wars movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would be insane for doing so, especially because there's no relation to communism and being in bad movies.
Right.
But I could do it, and I could do that right now if anybody wanted me to.
Yeah.
I think the big issue is that social media allows anybody to connect with each other, and you can make entanglements and relationships from all across the world. On the downside, anybody can connect from anywhere, and you can make relationships and entanglements from all over the world.
Yes. It's brought people closer together, and then brought people further apart. And it brought people who shouldn't be brought closer together.
Yeah, like it's like if you took the town crazy from 100 towns and made them into a small army, and then told them, "Hey, you really want to watch Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley make out?"
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah.
The strange thing is, it isn't even always. And the strange thing is, it isn't even always like. I can understand wanting to think of yourself as Kylo if you're really attracted to Rey, or thinking of yourself as Rey if you're really attracted to Kylo. But it seems like they almost just want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. Yeah, that's always something that's it got me, especially lately. Like when I was younger, I mean, it wasn't, like I mean, I wanted to be one of the characters in one of these franchises, somebody in there. Nowadays, it's like that. I don't really necessarily see that. It's like, yeah, they just want to watch it. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't want to get it.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the other part of shipping that has always uh, gotten me, and I've even I think I asked Mike on Hatman this once with you know people shipping or trying to make characters that are not gay or homosexual or whatever, and put them in gay relationships. Like why can't two people of the same sex in fiction just be really good friends and not without people thinking that they're boinking?
Well, what's funny is that actually there was a clip, or not a clip, a quote from C.S. Lewis where he basically was in The Four Loves, which is actually a book I recommend just because it's an interesting way of thinking about the concept, the whole concept of love. Where he was talking about how he talked about friendship and how it's he could feel nothing but pity who couldn't see a friendship, or for those who couldn't see a friendship and without assuming there was a erotic component to it. So it's that and that was in like the 50s or so he wrote that.
Yeah, and it's even more relevant now. I mean, it's I mean, you go on Tumblr, which I don't recommend, or you go on or you go on Twitter or or DeviantArt or wherever, and you see all this fan art of like with Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. Like, no. No, they're not a couple. They're like brothers. They grew up together. They're war buddies. Like, there's no nothing romantic there.
Yeah, and it's.
Have I put you in the corner here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I am in the process of deleting my 3,000-page Bucky Cap fan fiction so that nobody can ever find out.
Oh, okay. Oops.
You outed me, man. You outed me. They open up an antique shop in St. Louis.
Oh jeez, yeah. Then we could also have like Black Widow and Scarlet Witch opening a bed and breakfast together in like Mississippi. Well, maybe not Mississippi. Maybe Vermont.
Yeah, that'd probably be more friendly to that.
Yeah.
It's again, it is basically. So there's this Ruby Discord I'm in. I used to like Ruby. I don't anymore, but I stick around there because I have some friends in there. And it's interesting watching them talk about writing and relationships. Mm-hmm. So like, I think this is where fan fiction can be a useful starting point for people who want to get into writing, but you can develop bad habits there. So, like, let's say, it tends to make you start thinking of the characters as very interchangeable and unusual. Like, I can't tell you how many different fanfics are based on the premise of, it's Ruby, but John is different. Like that was kind of their focus in there a lot of the times. So it's like, like for those who haven't seen Ruby, Jean is kind of in a well-written series, he would have had more of an arc where he became competent over time, which they sort of did, but not to the extent that they should have, given the relative importance of the character. But it's like he starts off as an incompetent goof, and he just slowly but surely gains power. He's like, he shouldn't be there at the school because he cheated to get in. And it's all about him manning up.
Yeah.
Which, well, honestly, that's a fine enough concept for a character. But then you have the fanfiction writers. Jean was raised by Guts from Berserk. Jean was an orphan on the mean streets of Mistral. Jean has a power to make all women fall in love with him, which I'm not making that last one up. And you start realizing after a while, like, okay, so the shippers aren't so much. It isn't so much that they like the character; they like what they can make the character into. They want to start with that familiar foundation and then just go from there.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of an old Ethan Van Sciver stream I was watching where he was talking about the way, like, they've done studies where boys and girls play differently with their toys. It's kind of like the two ways of playing are boys tend to, when they're playing, imagine themselves being more like Batman. The girls would tend to imagine Batman being more like them. And fan fiction almost seems like the second method of playing. Yeah.
Yeah, they're imagining them as the character. Yeah.
Yep. Well, it's anyway. It's interesting. Like I think that, like, you can correct me on this. I tend to think of my characters as fairly fixed unless I have a major event happen to them in the story, or if I haven't defined something about them yet. Like truth be told, I have a fairly major character in the book who refers to having a large family. I have never actually nailed down how many brothers she has. Now, the reason I never nailed it down is because in the story, my narrator, Soren, who's kind of a sarcastic bastard, has a tendency of checking out a little bit when she's talking at length. So it's kind of... So I almost want to have it like I actually plan to do a spin-off with her as the narrator at some point. I almost want to have there be a discrepancy of how many brothers Soren thinks she has versus how many she has, and maybe have a name like, he reports the brother's name is Albert. She says his name is Alfred or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think the trouble is that you would have to might be too confusing for people. Because like a lot of people wouldn't go, oh, this is a joke on how much Soren doesn't care. Instead, it would be, what the hell? Did DB not pay attention when he was writing this out?
Yeah, that's a good way of covering yourself. Yeah, when you haven't quite figured everything out, every detail. Yeah.
But like once I actually sit down, Rose will have X brothers and no more.
Yeah, I kind of the same thing with my characters too. Like I have for those of you who probably if you haven't heard yet, Jessica Sawyer, who's the sexy spy lady in Angel's Awakening, she was actually an orphan and lived mostly on the streets, but she could have a foster family at one point. She could have lived in an orphanage, or had friends on the streets, or
right. Like you have lots of opportunities there. You could have a character who, I don't know, maybe she spent a few months living with an old widower or something like that.
Yeah.
Lots of opportunities. So you got to have like some flexibility in there, but fan fiction, and this is something that I had somebody who is big in fan fiction make some suggestions for the story. He talked about this alternate universe scenario for Magpie Wisdom. It's like that's all nice and everything, but that's fundamentally not the story I'm telling.
Yeah.
I think that's like the I think that's the ultimate thing of shipping is it's the shipper going, I reject your reality and substitute my own.
Yes. Yeah, and to kind of go back to like the same sex pairings. I remember. I don't know if you heard about this with the new Voltron series.
I heard that, and not to steal your Voltron thunder there, but I heard that there was like a one pairing they wanted to make happen, like some of the shippers wanted to make happen, and they were like, when that didn't happen, there was like a relentless campaign.
Yeah, it was Keith and Lance. They wanted Keith and Lance to get together, and I think if I remember the story right, they actually did a tour of the animation studio, and one of these shippers was in the tour, and he broke off from the group and stole like a bunch of their story ideas or something, or concept that is designs or whatever, and he basically held that stuff he threatened to put that on the internet unless they made Keith and Lance relationship canon.
Yeah. And this is why we can't have nice things, because you know that they would never have another tour of their studio ever again.
No, exactly. Yeah, or they'd have to have like security around all the time, wherever. It's just golly. Yeah, but yeah, it that's what that one just really like made absolutely no sense to me at all. Of course, then they made the leader of the team gay, so I don't.
Right. I mean, in your fiction, statistically, a certain percentage of the population is gay. And I had a realization the other day that some of the annoyance that fans have is that statistically, there would be a certain percentage of, like, let's take the Marvel Universe. And I'm not even going to peg a number on it because that's controversial. But in theory, there would be some percentage of superheroes there who were in the closet dating back to the 60s. Like just by law of averages.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
The trouble is, and it's funny, like Comics Perch is kind of like, you could have a pretty good idea of the foundations of comics listening to your boy Zach and then Perch. They have very different opinions on things. But Perch pointed out something that I hadn't even realized. So when they decided that Iceman had always been gay, I had read the in retrospect bad Chuck Austen X-Men books of the 2000s, where a major plot point there was, wait a minute, North Star had an unrequited gay crush on Bobby the whole time. And that was a point, was that Bobby had absolutely no interest in him, and North Star was angry at himself for falling for Bobby when Bobby had no interest in him, and Bobby was always very uncomfortable whenever the topic came up, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you could look at that and go, well, he was just shy, or he was in denial.
Yeah.
What Perch pointed out is that in the 80s, there was a character named Opal, who I don't know who Opal is, honestly. I haven't read 80s X Factor.
Yeah.
Who Bobby was willing to die for because he loved her so much. And he lectured Scott and Jean about how the love that you two feel is nothing compared to how I feel about Opal. So it's like, the trouble is that, of course, you have 50 years of continuity. You're going to violate something. But that's a pretty major one.
Yeah. So Melee Brawler points out, it says 6% of the population is gay.
That sounds about right. Like I said, I didn't want to nail down a number just because it depends on definitions. It varies depending on your polls and whatnot.
Yeah.
And your definitions, but it's like if you took if we go with that number, if you take 100 Marvel superheroes, 6 would probably be gay.
Yeah.
I think the biggest trouble is that Stan Lee probably, like, the first superhero in Marvel who we know for certain was written to be gay was North Star himself.
Yeah.
And that was basically one of those things where I had a very interesting library system where I grew up, because I don't know how they had all these weird 80s comic books that I shouldn't have ever had an opportunity to read. Because it was like 10 years before my time. Like they had a bunch of issues of Alpha Flight, which was North Star's book.
Yeah.
And when I found out about that, I just immediately went, oh, those comic books I read when I was 13. That explains his characterization a bit.
Yeah. It's, I mean, again, it seems like, when you create when you take an established character like Iceman, who was a consummate ladies' man. I mean, the guy was just, swinging women, and then you make him, and then you make him gay. It's like, well, that doesn't make any sense unless he was overcompensating. But I don't think that's, that's the case.
Yeah, it kind of comes back to that: is the character who the character is, or is the character who you want to make them be? Which it seems like a lot of creators. I don't know. Like I think that there would have been a time in my life where if you had put me on a series of a character I hated, I would have taken the piss.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've kind of come around to realize, oh, okay. No matter what series it is somebody's favorite thing, or it's something that means a lot to them.
Yeah.
So like if you can't come in there and make at least an attempt at making a halfway decent story, you should probably just not take the paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually probably a good segue for our next topic. So if you've got people who are half-heartedly taking over half-heartedly writing a franchise with beloved characters, would that be a good point to just say, well, this franchise had a good run and I'm just gonna leave it?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be too trigger happy with it, because at this point I think that a lot of us in the various fandom communities are extremely gun shy about certain things. Like there's nothing wrong with having I've seen people who would flip out if 6% of the cast in a series was gay. It's like, oh, they put another gay person in the series. Like, no, that itself is not a cause for punching out. That's actually problematic, to use the term.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, and you're allowed to have you're not every comic book you're going to make or movie or video game is going to be perfect. Like what was it? Not Hamlin's Razor. Let's see here. Who said that? Sturgeon's Law. That's it.
Okay.
Sturgeon was a sci-fi author who had a convention. Somebody asked him, why is 90% of science fiction writing crap? Because his reply was 90% of everything is crap.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. It's just that, which 10% is what everybody disagrees about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just but it's you get to a point where, especially with a franchise where, like, we were talking off stream. I brought up Indiana Jones, which is the new movies being made right now, and they're bringing out a nearly octogenarian Harrison Ford, putting him in the fedora and the jacket, and
At this rate, I imagine he could die, and they would try to bring his crystal skull back or something like that.
Oh yeah, or they'll do with him what they did with Carrie Fisher in the last Star Wars movie.
Oh no! Don't even. Just take years of clips.
Yeah. Well, that's what they did with the Pink Panther. When Peter Sellers passed away, they like the new movie that they did, like the first, I think, like 20 or 30 minutes was just nothing but like deleted scenes and outtakes from previous Pink Panther movies.
Yeah. I think I heard about that.
Yeah.
That's the one that nobody liked.
Yes, because it was terrible. It was really bad. And then the rest of the movie was about this reporter going around looking for Clouseau, and he's then interviewing all the other characters from all the other Pink Panther movies. It was terrible.
Yeah, I wonder if they actually broke even on it.
They might have, because guess what? They made another movie after that.
What I mean, we're not talking about the Steve Martin one, right?
No, not the Steve Martin one. This was another one with in the Peter Sellers.
What did they find? Did they find another reel of B footage?
I don't know. I didn't see it, and I don't care to. But I think if the character dies and they don't recast him, I think that's a pretty big red flag. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's but yeah, it's so like, I mean, I would think with something like Indiana Jones, they would either just either call it quits or bring in a younger actor. I mean, I know that sounds like sacrilege, given it's people, when they think of Indiana Jones, they automatically think of Harrison Ford, but it's
it's a shame that Shia LaBeouf's character was, well, Shia LaBeouf. Because in theory, if the Crystal Skull had been received better, or if people had said, Indiana Jones' son is a cool character, you could have some fun stuff with that. Like, just spitballing. If it's about 20 years since the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you could have had Shia LaBeouf looking for Nazi treasure in Argentina or something like that.
Yeah.
The Nazis smuggled, I don't know, 90% of the True Cross out of Germany before the end, and someone else is trying to get the other 10% and bring it to Argentina for evil things. Evil.
Yes. All the Nazis that escaped Argentina and or went to Argentina after the war. Yeah.
Like, you could have done a story like that, given Harrison a brief appearance, but nope. Instead, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah. Yes, and Shia LaBeouf was Shia LaBeouf.
Yep. Yeah, so I saw some people proposing to have Chris Pratt be the new Indiana Jones, which that could work. I think he's a little too jokey for it, though.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that, but yeah, he would be a little. Yeah, if he played him a little more serious than he plays Star-Lord.
Yeah, like the way he plays the character from the Jurassic World movies could like up the seriousness about 10% up from that, and maybe you have something.
Yeah. Although I haven't seen the Jurassic World movies, so
I can't recommend them unless you just want to watch some dinosaurs do things.
No, yeah, that's a franchise. That's another franchise. Like I would have thought I would have died after the third movie, because I remember when I saw the third movie in the theater, and I'm like, this movie sucks.
Well, it's funny. Like, I watched it with a friend of mine a few years back. We decided to just watch through the Jurassic Park movies together. Like, the first one was good. The second one was all right, but still entertaining. There were some holes you could poke in it, but it's still entertaining dinosaur stuff. We watched World, which is better than the third one. I'll give it that. Now, I had seen the third one with a friend at a house once, and for some reason in my mind, the movie was about 10 minutes long, because I just forgotten almost all of it.
Yeah, it wasn't a very long movie. I think it was only in 90 minutes.
Yeah, which is crazy. But watching it again, it was just like, wow, there is absolutely no tension here.
Yeah.
You have managed to make a movie about giant dinosaurs chasing people boring.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course the whole was Sam Neill, having the nightmare with the Velociraptor talking to him.
That's the only scene that anybody ever talks about from that one, because it's the only memorable scene.
Yeah, yeah, it's well, and it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you want to make a campy movie, you can make a campy movie. It's allowed.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
like people still talk about Batman and Robin. They don't talk well about it, but they still talk about it.
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of it's ventured. That movie's kind of ventured into the so bad it's good territory.
Yep. Which you never want to try to do that on purpose, but because it
Yeah,
never works.
yeah. It's a that's a happy accident. Yeah,
Yeah. But so yes, I think I think the thing was that, and it's so funny that I mentioned that as like a topic a couple days ago, and then Thinking Critical, Wes came out with a video about it on that very topic, actually, with one of the writers of Common America,
oh.
and I just finished watching it while I was getting ready for the stream tonight, and he said, "Here's the thing about it: that series you love is a product meant to be consumed and forgotten about, like Hellman's mayonnaise or Coca-Cola." Which, like, oh, but I love Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
But it's that for it's for you. It's that thing that taught you about heroism and adventure and sparked your imagination forever.
yeah,
For some executive, it was, well, it'll cost less than I don't know. Eh, well, we got the rights to make a video game based on the Star Wars thing. Go shove it on an N64.
yeah. Make a tidy profit on it, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, melee brawler. Yeah. How do you make dinosaurs chasing people not fun? How's that? They found a way.
Life finds a way.
Yes, yes, exactly. But yeah, like I mean, it's so it's we kind of we laugh about some of this stuff, but at the same time, it's really sad because we're seeing all these beloved franchises that we all grew up watching and we all grew up loving, and we love the characters, we love the stories, and now it's just being completely their legacies are being tarnished. The franchises are just going down the drain with horrible writing, horrible characters, and it's just it's so it's infuriating, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, maybe it's time.
Yeah, like I've shifted over to just having a 100% Disney boycott.
Mm.
There's a few reasons for that. First off, is their bad habit of buying out things I love and then driving them into the ground, or at the very least making them so safe as to be unrecognizable.
Yeah,
Like there's a level where Wolverine will never be a comfortable Disney character.
yeah, or Deadpool.
You're right. Although I think you'd have an easier time toning Deadpool down and still having it be, hey, he's jokey superhero man,
Yeah, yeah,
versus the depth of Wolverine.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I watched that Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon they did a while back. They actually did a decent job with Deadpool because the way they portrayed him was he was like he had been an agent, or he'd been one of, like, I think the whole premise of Ultimate Spider-Man is that Spidey is being trained by Nick Fury to one day become either a Shield agent or an Avenger. I forget which. And so
Yeah.
I didn't watch a lot of that, but the way they portrayed Deadpool was interesting because he was like the extreme student who went too far.
Yeah.
And they didn't actually show him killing anybody, but they heavily implied it. It's like, you know what? For a Disney cartoon, that was actually pretty bold of them. I doubt they would do that again.
Yeah, I can't see him doing that again. No, not right now. But yeah, I saw that same episode. It was that was really good. He I like when he's like he can't, I can't say the K word out loud.
It's a Disney Channel.
Yeah. What was it? Unalive them? Unalive them.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, let's see. Power Rangers. Yeah.
Yeah, although I have a friend of mine who will go into Disney basically bought the Power Rangers and almost immediately regretted it. And they were like sabotaging it behind the scenes, cutting the budgets, making life very difficult on them. And the success of some of those Power Ranger seasons was the ultimate example of creativity through adversity.
Mm. Did they still? You'll have to forgive me. I kind of lost track of Power Rangers after the first show. I mean, did they still kind of do it the same way, where it was like they had the actors and then they superimposed it with like another show from Japan, or was it?
Yep, that was it exactly. Apparently they've broken away from that now. So the new stuff is going to be 100% made in America or New Zealand or wherever they're filming it. Which I'm sure that was a blow to Toei, because Super Sentai has been trending down the ratings for decades, and so Power Rangers is kind of that was like them double dipping and making some extra money on that.
Yeah. That does suck. Yeah. But
well, and actually, Power Rangers is a good example of one. Like, is there time to step away from it? Maybe it isn't even that Power Rangers became kiddie. Maybe you grew up, which is not fun to realize, but sometimes you outgrow the thing. The thing that does outgrow you.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm very fair, I'm sure that a lot of the comic books and cartoons and things from the 90s, if there had been imagine if there had been an internet in the same way when I had an example of that. There was the internet when the Star Wars prequels came out, but not to the same extent.
Right.
Or actually, for that matter, Empire Strikes Back. Imagine that the internet existed in the same way in the age of the Empire Strikes Back. It's like you know that there would have been like a Mahler video talking about how incomprehensible. Like, well, you said that Darth Vader killed his father, but Darth Vader is his father? That's a logical contradiction.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had to, of course, cover that in Jedi with Obi-Wan Kenobi saying, well, what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
And now I can imagine an angry Welsh voice, Mahler, going, a truly pathetic attempt to spackle over the gaping hole in the plot of this series that was once so beloved.
Yeah. I could hear him saying that. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Mahler.
I used to be, and his April Fool's stuff is probably his best, because everything he says there is actual quotes from dumb videos. But yeah, it's I forget, Melee Brawler. You're a big Mahler guy, right? Or was it? I remember it. So
it was. I don't know if it's I think it's Ultimate Agent.
That's right.
Ultimate Agent's the Mahler fan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I won't feel bad about mildly bad mouthing him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say mildly just because it's the internet. Everything is a fight. And sometimes the winning move is to just disengage and go, you know what? Me and Spider-Man had a good run. Maybe it's time that I find new heroes or new characters to learn about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's in many cases that's what you have to do, and yeah, sometimes you have to move on, and you still got the old stuff to go back to when you want to go back and watch it. And go back and read it.
Well, yeah, and comic books were kind of spoiled because they've been cranking those things out since the 30s for some of these characters. So if you're really, really angry about, I don't know, the direction of Batman for whatever reason, you could always just go like, Comixology has a bunch of these. They have a bunch of reprints of stuff. Just pick a random year to start with and just read old Batman. There's more Marvel and DC content than one could reasonably read in a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot out there. I mean, it's you don't necessarily have to read all the new stuff.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side, you don't want to give up too fast, because an interesting statistic, and you can back me up on this. I think that Twitter is largely useless for marketing.
It certainly seems that way.
Like just as a couple of examples, I cannot think of a sale that I've ever been able to link to me posting a link to my book on Twitter. That doesn't mean that it hasn't happened, but I haven't ever seen like an immediate reaction, because tweets die very quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'd think that if somebody followed the link, you would see on the Amazon dashboard, I can see when a sale happens to my book within minutes. So you never see that immediate reaction.
Right. Yeah, it's very hard to tell, like very hard to gauge if it's doing any good or not. I mean, I'm usually posting about about my comic book all the time, or I follow a couple of different people on Twitter who'll do like a promo thread, and I'll post in there, and I have no idea if I'm getting anybody.
Right? Is anybody actually looking at that?
Yeah.
And so the reason I bring that up is that I saw an estimate, and whether that was Mark Miller just making things up to stir the pot, or if he had actual numbers behind it, he was saying only 10% of comic book readers have a Twitter account, and only a half of those are active. So you're basically interacting with 5% of the audience on Twitter.
Mm.
Well, the thing is, if you give up completely, you don't say, I did not care for this new issue of Spider-Man where he, where he married the Human Torch.
Yeah.
If you don't say that, then all Marvel is going to hear are the Yas Queen Slay people on Twitter.
Right. Yeah. I remember talking about that with Mike Murphy, where he was kind of talking about with the death of local comic books. Your local comic book store. It's like you read an issue of something and you didn't like it, and then you don't go to the store to get the next issue, and then you kind of forget about it, and next thing you know, you've lost it completely.
Yeah, it's amazing how many of these things you do all the time are just habits that you kind of do because they're that thing you do.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like I do the Xbox rewards. Microsoft has me well trained to turn on my Xbox periodically over the course of the week and check to see what I can do to get more points.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't use Bing because they give me points, and it's like, hey, I did my searches for the day. I got my points. Eventually they'll buy me an Xbox Series X once they have one.
Yeah. Or with Sony with a PS5. Like,
the weird thing is that I wish I didn't have so many disc games, or if I had a base Xbox instead of the Xbox One X. I'm an Xbox guy these days.
mm-hmm.
I would they keep having the Series S digital ones available at Best Buy. It's like that keeps being mildly tempting just because it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like, I don't know, is it really it's not really an upgrade over what I have.
Yeah. It's I own a few games that are digital, but I also have a few disc ones too. I don't. Digital is just like, I don't feel like I own it.
Yeah, there's a level where you don't. The flip side is that with the physical disc, and this is with the physical disc, there's with a lot of these games a level where the physical disc, you still have to download a bunch of stuff to have the game be workable.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of online only games. Like, just for example, let's say that you plug in Overwatch on your Xbox, and in 20 years, let's say the servers are shut down. No, just for hypothetical.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able? All you'd be able to do with the disc of Overwatch on your Xbox would be plug it in and play the tutorial.
Mm.
Maybe not even that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
It's the problem with these online only, multiplayer only games is that And I kind of realized, wait a second, there's no revisiting this. If the servers are down, then there's not a game anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember buying Overwatch, and I'm like, it looked like a great game. It's a beautiful game. I mean, I love the animation. I love the, everything, all that stuff. But I hated the fact that there was no campaign.
Yes, and that's actually another great example of something I walked away from. Was I realized that the game was just making me angry
Hmm.
because it was, you're dealing with people who are better than you a lot of the time. I could get good.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And it was like, I'm just in a loop of occasionally buying a loot box and grinding to try to get the costume I actually want, so then I can play the games more with the costume I actually want.
yeah,
And and also the fact that so it seems to me like the greatest failure of Overwatch is that did you know that there was an anime of Dota on
yes,
Netflix?
yeah. I've seen that. Yeah,
I've been watching a few episodes with my friends, and it's pretty good. Much better than I was expecting it to be, considering it's a video game remake, right?
right. Yeah.
What has ever stopped Activision Blizzard from going to Netflix and going, "Hey, Overwatch series promote our game"?
Yeah.
Because it's a superhero universe. Like the game's been out since 2016,
Yeah.
and I don't believe that I quit in 2018 or so I couldn't tell you, but exactly. But as far as I know, we still have never seen what happened with Winston's call for aid at the starts every game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much they could do with that, and they just really, well, it's Blizzard. I mean, what do you know?
Yeah, we're just lucky they didn't completely make the game unusable like with Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about Overwatch to me is that, I shouldn't say crazy thing. The thing that I realized at some point is, wait a minute, this is going to be the shortest superhero event comic ever because there are 20 heroes and like 5 villains, and most of the 5 villains are DPS.
Yeah.
No tanks among the villains.
Yeah. 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 And I got my Overwatch story. So I had the game, but then I traded it in, and I used my trade in for it on my pre-order for Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh no!
Yes. One of the biggest mistakes I have ever made in my life, especially in terms of video game buying.
I forget. Did you say you traded in for a pre-order?
Yeah, the pre-order. Yeah.
Well, at least you got some sort of skin, right?
Yeah.
Was there a pre-order bonus?
Yeah, it was. I think it was the armor, and then like some rifles. Yeah. Wasn't worth it. No.
Man, that makes my face tired just thinking about it.
Yeah. Yes. Oh God.
Mass Effect, another franchise worth walking away from.
Yes, and I'm proud to say I did not buy the Legendary Edition.
Good man.
No, I did not buy that. No, I saw the animations for it, and I'm like, okay, well, it's just a slightly better than what we got before. I really don't see any reason in buying it.
Yeah, it's that whole game was like I've played the multiplayer some. I've stayed away from the story because I value my time more than that. And I got it for like $5, I think, on digital, or $10 on digital, because a friend wanted to play the multiplayer with me. And the biggest thing about that is Mass Effect was a series that had a very definitive endpoint.
Yeah.
Congratulations, we destroyed the hyperspace. Everybody is here forever, wherever you happen to be at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how do you continue that? Oh, people are somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you send them off to another galaxy.
And what are you going to do there? Procedurally generated planets. Oh, we can't actually procedurally generate them because all the planets are samey. Samey planets. Romance options.
Yeah. It's basically the same thing we were doing before, just with horrible writing and lazy character development and
tired faces.
tired faces. Yeah, and bug eyes.
Meanwhile, like a game I revisited recently that I'm glad I didn't leave behind is Final Fantasy X, because that came to Game Pass, which Game Pass is like honestly one of the best things I ever invested in, just because there are so many games I would never plunk down the money. Like Final Fantasy X has been out on the Xbox for since 2018, I think.
Yeah,
I never plunked down. I would never have said, you know what, I'm going to devote a chunk of time and I'm going to replay Final Fantasy X. Lord knows I had it for my PS Vita, never touched it. And then it comes to Game Pass and I go, well, I'll give it a shot. And 29 hours later,
yeah,
over the course of the last few weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried playing Final Fantasy X when it came out, and I got stuck somewhere, and I got to a point where like I didn't have. I think what happened was I didn't have the right items, and I was out of items or something, and
oh no,
yeah, and my characters were not high enough level, and so I was just getting my ass kicked all the time, and I'm like, okay. And I didn't feel like starting a new game, so I just
I'd give it I'd give it another shot. It's got a good story, and I half swear that with Final Fantasy, I listened to the music first, and then I played the game just to see what the music's about. But it does reward grinding a bit too much, though.
Yeah. Well, we've passed the hour mark, so I guess we'll bring this to a close. Again, we'll do some little, as we say, do another round of.
Buy my book! Buy my book! Buy my book!
Yep.
Do another round of Buy My Book. So.
Angel's Awakening, you should back it. It's got cool colors and a neat premise and a psychic spy and all the finer things in life.
Yes, and if you know that, and of course, very very fine yes. Booty on Jessica Sawyer, and if you haven't already picked up a copy of Confessions of the Magpie Wizard, it is on Amazon. You can get it. Get it on Kindle. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. Here's the first book right here, and as he said, it was Asterisk War. What was the other one?
Harry Potter.
And the Screwtape Letters.
Yep.
Yeah. So get that. You get a book. You get that all of that in Confessions of the Magpie Wizard. Book 1, as I've said, it's on Kindle Unlimited. You can buy it for $2.99, and Book 2 is on sale for 99 cents.
Watch out, you could miss out.
Yeah, don't want to miss out on that deal. All right, well, that's all I've got. DarthBobCat, do you have anything else?
Nope. We covered a wide variety of topics, some of them even on topic.
Yes.
So I think the conclusion is know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Yes.
Words to live by. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody who came in and watched us tonight. We will be back next week, same time, same channel. And before we go, I'm going to playing the trailer for Angels Awakening for those of you who didn't see it. So until next time, good night.
Good night, everyone.
The life of a spy isn't as glamorous as I thought. But it isn't dull.